there, Franklin? Can you hear everybody okay? You need a test from him?
Okay.
Frank Jasper, it's weird to call you Frank Jasper because I only know you as Frank, but it wasn't until like 3 years ago you were Shute. Like, you're Shute. Brian Shute from Vision Quest is one of the most iconic roles ever. And this is me speaking before I bring Frank in. When I saw Vision Quest, the movie, I had this weird thing in the 80s. I knew something was going to age poorly because of how 80s it was. And I remember the soundtrack, the Vision Quest, I remember thinking, well, Lunatic Fringe, but it's hard after that. It's real 80s, this movie. But then this guy came up stadium stairs with a giant log across his back in a Christ pose. And Matthew Modine says, "Hey, Shute!" And Frank Jasper is Shute in the movie. He's just, he's one of the most I gotta start this whole thing over. I'm fucking rambling. Frank Jasper, how are you?
You're fangirling.
Not really. I'm trying to I'm aware of how fangirly and guy people get over things, especially Shute. Frank Jasper playing Brian Shute, Shute. Shute. Frank Jasper's my acupuncturist now, and he's a bona fide, according to me, healer. You've straightened me out a few times there, brother.
Oh, nice. Good to hear.
Well, you knew that. Like, you've said some things to me that were really... this is like a dual podcast because I obviously want to talk about the movie Vision Quest and, you know, going from a bodybuilder at like 220 down to 185 in a couple weeks just to get the part. And Matthew Modine, it's just an iconic movie. And you're such an iconic person in the movie. But I met you through Scott Glab, Hall of Fame coach, Santa Ana Wrestling, and my dear friend, your dear friend, and I couldn't believe it that you to say you are an acupuncturist is really beneath you. It's you're a healer. This is what happened when I first saw Frank Jasper with acupuncture. I've had it many times before. He put the needles in me, and then usually I take a nap. Oh no, not the case, because my man starts chanting, hey, 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 and I'm not mocking you at all, but I know what key it's in. I believe it's G. Yeah, like that, right? And then there's a higher one that makes my actual needles will vibrate in my body and weird things will connect. What is that? Where do you learn? If you're listening right now, yeah, it's Shute from Vision Quest, but he's my acupuncturist and he chants while he heals me. So I don't know I don't know how to get into this either. When you're chanting, what is it other than just simply chanting? What are you? What's the purpose? What is the purpose? What are you trying to do with the chant? Because it's very effective to me.
Yeah. Well, we found that sound moves energy through the body. So I can move sound through somebody by doing tones above them or drumming. We did a drumming session with Jay last time he was in, and that pounding will just break up energy in the body. The toning will also activate different chakras and open the body's chakras up so that they're more balanced. So it's a way of taking the acupuncture session up another notch. And if someone's open for it or to it, then you can, instead of walking, you have a chance to run. With healing as a concept, always creating a safe space to allow the person to go through whatever process or reconnection or rebalancing or releasing whatever they need to release or connect to in that moment.
That's been a profound experience of mine with you, Frank, and that is I had shoulder pain from wrestling really bad. Both shoulders were racked and wrecked. And then you, the left one, you just said to me, what are you holding on to? What are you holding? And I was like, I don't know what to tell you, bro. I have shoulder injuries from wrestling. I thought it. I didn't say it, but I'm like, easy, pal. I don't know. The hippie Topanga Canyon stuff, this bullshit going on. And then he goes, no, what are you holding on to? And I go... And then I pictured I was walking through the woods as I was laying there with my eyes closed, and you said, yeah, keep following that path. Oof. Then I pictured the ocean, and you said, yes. And I knew what you meant. I knew you knew that I was thinking about the ocean. And then you said, what are you holding on to? It's okay. And I started crying. And I remember I went, I don't have anywhere to live. Like I was sobbing right there on this table.
Right there.
And it wasn't like I don't have a structure, like nowhere was home. I didn't feel home anywhere. And now I feel very home. And that was a big one. Like, that had me driving home, scratching my head, like, what the heck just happened? And, like, everything we think about, we assume everybody's a charlatan and a fraud or a snake oil salesman. I'm here to tell you guys, my friend Frank has moved my molecules around profoundly, and I'm so grateful for it. And your insights and stuff that you share with me are great. When you said we know that sound moves energy through the body, who's we? You and Corey?
Yeah, Corey and I got this down. But also, if you go back, you'll see that the monks do toning, and their part of their process is to open different chakras. The higher the tone, the higher the chakra, down into the lower chakras. I personally learned from a woman named Rosalind Briere, who ran the Healing Light Center in Glendale. I would go and study her courses, and she would give courses at night, and she talked about...
What are the courses, though?
Well, it was about what energies we hold in our cellular structures. And so she would hold a class, and we would start every class with chanting in the beginning to get everybody connected and just balanced. Because throughout, whatever we're doing here in LA, we're being hit by all sorts of energy, by radio waves, microwaves, cell phones, people screaming, people, trying to cut us off in traffic. And so we have these challenges on a daily basis. And our bodies are vibrating in these what they call fight or flight, and we never get a chance to do either. Usually we're inside of a car, and we're usually like, can't run, we can't fight, or if we do, then you get yourself in trouble. So you have to find another way to kind of process, and toning will be one of those ways to release energy if you're if it's pent up in the body.
How would it leave? I know literally you're releasing energy by making a sound, but
Yeah.
that's not what you're talking about, I don't think. So how does my body release negative energy through toning? Like, is it through like excrement? Is it through sneezing? Serious question though.
No, it's absolutely a serious question. It allows a vibration to break up that vibration that's being held in the body. So it's as if it's a puddle, and you come in and you throw a rock in the middle of it, and it changes it. So what we first have to do is we have to identify the feeling. We have to identify the emotion that's stuck in that cell. And then we can go, what is that? And then you can either give it a voice, and some people laugh, some people cry, some people scream. I've had people take pillows and just scream into the pillows during the sessions on the table. That's what
Hope
they
didn't have a
needed
needle
to
in
do.
their face.
Even with the needle in their face, man, I'm telling you. They scream, and they don't even think twice about where these needles are. But I actually, and just to go back, it's like, for me, the energy gets set by the acupuncture and gets set by what we do in the beginning here. Our intention of what is it we want to do. Healing occurs, and it impacts 7 lives ahead of us and 7 lives behind us. This is what the Native Americans talk about in true healing.
Wow.
So when you're digging in, and what you were digging into was... these are life-threatening. This is life or death. This is like, where's my home?
Where's my tribe?
Where's my life? Where do I live?
No more tribe.
Yeah, and so you found like you didn't have your connection there, and everybody needs a connection to a tribe, to a place, to feel sheltered. That's the first step, to survival. So you're back to survival, and that's where we go back to.
When you do toning, when I tell kids to meditate, coaching wrestling, I don't say, even life coach clients, I don't use the word meditate anymore because they go in the other direction. They get freaked out by it for some reason. So I'll just say, sit quietly and just concentrate on being there right now, here right now is all you got to do, which is meditation. But there's pushback a lot. Like, I know, I just can't. And this, when you start chanting, can you vibe out when that person thinks like, what the fuck, this guy's a maniac? Because I'm pretty open-minded. I'm all about the hippie and the dippy.
Yeah.
But I got to think, if just Joe Jock comes in off the street, he's going to be like, all right.
Oh, yeah. I had one gentleman who was very he was studying for his degree in psychology, and we worked specifically with him and talked about his inner child, and it was the first time that he said that it wasn't just a conception, that he actually saw his inner child and had a dialogue with his inner child. Mm-hmm. And so during that session, I also did what I called toning. Well, when he reported it to his friends, he goes, oh, yeah, and he does this thing called howling. He howls while doing the session. So even if he doesn't really know what it's doing, he feels a profound effect from it.
Good.
So you don't have to consciously know what it's doing. But if you've ever been stressed and if you've ever just done like what we call primal screaming, you feel this complete release when you do the primal scream.
That's interesting because I've never had a release feeling when I've screamed under supervision. You know, the person that was supposed to be telling you to do a primal scream. I always just felt like I was a bit of a show. It was like kind of a show.
Yeah.
Like you tell me to do this, I'll feel better. I'm like, well, if I'm doing it when you tell me to do it, it's not a primal scream ever. So if I feel it viscerally into it,
got to connect with the feelings. You got to connect with the emotion. You can't just
this
scream
is like,
and scream.
You know, cognitive behavioral therapy was just like, why don't you do a primal? It's like, okay, this isn't working out. So the movie Vision Quest. I want to segue quickly here, and we'll circle back because the enormity of this thing to me and the speech. It's not the 6 minutes. It's what happens in the 6 minutes. Right. That guy that works at the restaurant, Matt. One of the most underrated speeches to me of all time.
J.C. Quinn.
Oh yeah. J.C. Oh, very. How did you get the movie Vision Quest? It's an interesting story. So
it's crazy. I was just going to Eastern Washington University. I was in the athletic training program. I was working with athletes.
That sounds like the Soviet Union. What does that mean? I was in the athletic training program under Ambassador Dublin. And what does that mean? You were under the athletic training program.
So it's you're basically studying pre-med, and you're getting where if you get your athletic training degree, then you apply to PT school.
I'm embarrassed.
So you're an athletic trainer. You work with all the athletes on the football team, the basketball team, volleyball team, track team.
I completely get it.
Now, when the football team shows up, every one of the athletic trainers is in the training room because there's over 72 people that have to have their ankles taped.
I need to quantify real quick.
Please.
I thought you meant like you were studying athletic training, like you were under the big umbrella of like I have sport. I didn't realize it was like you were actually an athletic trainer.
It's an actual degree.
There you go.
So it involves putting in 4,000 hours in the athletic training room.
You can do that today. Though.
So yeah. So now I have all that Western medicine background. I have all that sports background. So I have that to take with me to bring into this this clinic as well. But anyway, I'm there as a student. I'm there as a student athletic trainer for the wrestling team that semester. Scott Glab was one of the wrestlers in that room.
What?
Yes, that's where I met
kidding me?
Scott Glab in that room at Eastern Washington.
You were one of his trainers?
I was his only trainer in that season.
Oh my God! What? I can't believe that. Look how expertly I hold the mic away from my face and raise my voice. Now I get real serious and quiet. Wow! No, I didn't.
So
know
I'm
that.
sitting in there.
Why weren't you wrestling there?
Because I had gone and was an iron worker for 4 years, and then decided, hey, I don't want to be an iron worker when I turn 50 and be working in these conditions. I was working on the nuclear reactors out in Hanford site. Hanford site was the first place where they took the plutonium for the very first atomic bomb. So that's how old the end reactor was out at the Hanford site, and it's just out in the desert, outside of the Tri-Cities. Middle of nowhere.
Yeah, but
you dig a hole.
Vision Quest, baby. How'd you get the movie?
So I'm in the wrestling room, and this kid comes in that was wrestling for Eastern Washington, but now is in the movie as an extra. His name is Rick Thiefalt, and Rick is sitting there, and we're watching these guys wrestle, and I had, just been sitting there reading my textbook, and he says, "Hey, I'm in this movie, and we are." We're shooting. Yeah. We're going to shoot in a couple weeks, and it's like they're paying me money to wrestle. It's just crazy. It's really cool.
So he's a wrestling extra.
So he's a wrestling extra. Wow. You'll see him in the scenes. You'll see him in the classroom. He's in the wrestling room. You'll see him in a lot of the scenes. So he says, "Oh, you know what? They're still looking for somebody. They're looking for somebody who's 6 foot tall, blonde hair, muscular build that can wrestle." And he looks at me and he goes, "That's you." And I'm like, nah. And he goes, no, talk to the casting director. She's super nice. You got to go check this out. Fast forward, I agree to do it because I was bouncing, to make money to pay for I was paying for my own education there at Eastern Washington.
You were like the white Mr.
So
T.
I went to, I was bouncing on the weekends, as a bouncer at a place called Slab Inn. So I did nothing but break up fights all night.
Gay,
and
gay
got
bar?
paid like around $25-$30.
Gay bar. Slab in.
No. This is country western tobacco chewing.
Yeah, like I said.
Tobacco chewing.
Slab in.
Slab in.
Bone out, slab in.
It's where all of the cowboys and all of the other, people from Spokane, Washington that couldn't drink would drink there because the age was 19. So I could either go there and break up fights, or I could go maybe be an extra in a movie. So I said, okay, I'm going to go check this out. And if I get the role, I'll be an extra in the background, and I can see how a movie gets made, and I'll get some money, pay for my education. Fast forward, I walk in, the casting director, she looks at me and goes, here's the sides, I want you to look them over, and then we'll go through them.
Is that a casting office?
I'm in a casting office in downtown Spokane. It's in a hotel.
The hub of show business.
So the hotel.
I'm assuming that's where you guys filmed the movie. Then.
In Spokane.
Then it makes a lot more sense.
In Spokane. It was filmed on location. The guy that wrote it, Terry Davis, was from Spokane area.
Amazing.
And he was a writer and a teacher that taught writing. Anyway, so I walk in there. She hands me the sides, and I was like, "Oh, Rick did not tell me this guy had lines. Like I don't know what I'm doing. This is like ridiculous." So Rick. So I read. And I'm nervous, and I make a mistake, and I kind of laugh because I'm nervous. She looks at me, and she goes, we're looking for intensity here. If you make a mistake, just continue on like nothing's happened. Got it? I'm like, jeez.
Do you remember what those lines were?
Got it.
Do you remember your audition lines?
Yeah, it was right from the stadium scene.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You don't have to act them out, but can you say them?
We'll do it in a minute.
Okay.
But anyway, so I read through the lines. She goes, okay, great. So what'd she do? She gets on the phone, calls up the director, Harold Becker. We just walk down the hallway. He goes, he wants to see you now. So we walk down the hallway. I walk into his office. He goes, okay, you know the lines now. I've read them twice. You know the lines now. He takes the sides out of my hand. He goes, let's do the scene.
They know iron workers. They know how you guys memorize lines.
How do
Bouncers and iron workers.
How
They
do
just
I
have
do
photographic
that?
memories when it comes
Like,
to
this
the
is
tactile
insane.
word.
I believed him. There's a part of my brain that went, yeah, I do. Somehow I know the lines.
Sometimes it's all it takes.
So I bought into it. Got through the scene. He goes, okay, now I got to see if you can wrestle. So then I had to go and wrestle for Cash Stone, who was the coach of all the extras, and he was actually the referee in the final scene. Mm-hmm. That's Cash Stone. So he had to see if I could actually wrestle because there actually is some demand that you have to look like a wrestler in this movie. So
a little bit,
just a little bit. So I passed that. I do a few more auditions. Then the final audition
you had to wrestle
comes.
Another guy.
Yeah, so the final audition.
That you mean?
Here it comes. Is that I find out that the producers have a guy from California that they like. They're bringing him to Spokane. The director likes me, so he's in my corner. So then now they're flying in with this guy from California. And so I go in.
They're bringing in Shute, essentially.
They're bringing in the guy that they think is Shute.
I mean, but think about it. Like, you're Modine, that guy, like, you're just some guy off the street, literally. They're flying this guy in.
Yeah.
He's coming in with producers. Like,
yeah.
Whoa.
Not only is he a good wrestler, he ended up being he was a good wrestler, but also he was an actor. So he was in good shape.
Should have acted like he beat you in this wrestling match.
And so now I show up and I go over there to do the scene for the producers and the director in front of the casting director from L.A. because they've flown up.
You're not in wrestling shape at all.
Not at all.
Is the other guy?
He looks great. I mean, he's in great shape. Frank Zagarino. He's done a lot of B movies. He's in great shape.
It's his part. He's definitely been wrestling live and getting ready for it.
He's quick. He's fast. Anyway, so I am walking over there, and Harold comes out of his office. He walks up to me and he goes, "When you come in here," he says, "I want you to stay intense the entire time, no matter what. Got it?" And he goes, smack, and he hits me slaps me upside the face. And I was like, ugh, I just gritted my teeth, and I go, "Got it." He goes, "That's what I want." So it's like I'm going in for a wrestling match. Your coach slaps you, right? Yeah. He did it. He knew what to do. He knew what to get what he wanted out of me.
Look across the mat. They're making out with the other guy. You got to slap. He got to kiss.
So I walk in there. I do the scene. The casting director is the one that cast this role twice before. It didn't work out either time, so there's a lot of heat on her. She's up in front of them doing the lines with me.
Say that again?
The woman that was the casting director for Vision Quest they had cast this role twice before. Neither one of those guys worked out. 2.5 weeks away from starting filming, and she had to find somebody. And so the heat was on her. Now, I got cast on location by the local casting director.
Did we get past you wrestling? Like, didn't you have to do a wrestling?
Not yet.
Okay, good. I want to make sure we're going in order. Good.
So,
okay.
yeah, so I'm doing the scene with her. Now, I walk in there, and they go, take your shirt off. And so I take my shirt off, and I'm standing in front of this group of people, being introduced, and I'm just staying intense. Yeah, and I do my lines, and I walk out, and I said to my casting director, what's going on? I said, did I look ridiculous up there? She goes, why? She goes, because every line that I did with the woman that was a casting director, Nancy Klopper, we'll use her name. Okay, it's out there. She looked at me and she would just like shake her head because everybody was behind her, so nobody could see what her face was doing. So I thought that I looked completely ridiculous by her reactions, right? She wasn't reading the lines like Matthew Modine. So I walked out and I said, so what was that about? I asked my casting director, what is that about? She goes, oh, well, here's the deal. This was cast twice before, and now it's heat on her. She brought somebody. She's trying to trip you up. She wants her guy to get the role. I was like, oh, so the game on. This is how this is played?
Game on. Game is game.
Game on.
Game is game.
So then we gathered everybody up, and because the wrestling coach hadn't seen this guy wrestle to see if he can really do the role, we go over to the set where they're filming. They stop. They have a mat out there. All is lit up. The cast, all the crew stands around the mat. I get on the mat with this guy from L.A., and we go back and forth, like single leg takedown, double leg takedown, just duck unders. And when the coach is yelling off, we go back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. At one point, he goes to pick me up. I can tell he's a little off balance, so I leaned a little bit more into it, and he stumbled with me on top of him, kind of picking me up.
Yeah.
So it didn't look good because I'm like, okay, this is how this game's played. We're gonna play it. We're gonna I'm gonna take my advantage whenever I can. I got off the mat. John Peters comes over. He goes, you got the role. And he goes, I'm going to cut your hair. And that's how he decided that he wanted like the tight sides for
it's almost
shoot.
like a bowl cut. It's like a crew cut, but it's almost like a Julius Caesar, but it's almost like he's just a simple man haircut.
He doesn't want to have to deal with anything. It's so tight on the side you see his skin. That was never done before. But now you look at everybody's got that haircut. Around the wrestling community. Right now, 35 years later, that haircut is popular.
I had it a month ago. I gave myself a mohawk poorly. What did they tell the other guy? Do you know? Like, did they say you got it in front of him?
He was over away. John Peter just came over, and he
what
says,
a long flight home.
Dude.
With the same people coming in, the casting director just eye roll emoji in him the whole way. Oh.
So there I am. I get the role, and all they say to me is like, we need you to lose some weight so you get closer to Matthew Modine's size. Now I look on
114.
I look in the I read the script and it's like 168. I'm thinking, I'm at 215 pounds. I'm bodybuilding. I'm bulking up. I'm eating 5 platefuls of food a night just to put on weight. I'm trying to getting ready for a bodybuilding competition. 215.
Or they could cheat what the scale says with a separate shot. What do I know?
Once you step on that mat, though, the comparison is going to be a little
still,
obvious.
like when I watched the movie, it's funny you say that because I always found it absurd that Matthew Modine had to cut weight to get to shoot.
Wow.
Because you're so much bigger than he is.
Right.
But when you guys actually wrestled in the movie, were you close to the same weight?
I think we actually were close. I don't know what he weighed. I lost 25 pounds in 2.5 weeks.
Oh, my God.
So it was, we talk about cuts. You know what cuts are.
I don't believe
a
in
wrestler. You know the whole thing.
I just keep the shit off.
Yeah. Dude, it was the most massive cut I've ever done.
When it's for show business somehow, it's I've done the opposite. I had to put weight on for Street Kings.
How much?
20 pounds.
And how did you do it? Donuts, milk?
No, it was
pasta?
Muscle. Like decacycles and sets of 2.
Oh, okay.
Sets of 2.
5 reps?
Then push-ups in between until exhaustion. I would go home and have diarrhea and vomit from the trauma of the workout. Like a car accident. You go home, you shit everywhere. I'm like, oh, man. Sets of 2. Nice. I was jacked. And had a nice fake mustache. Anyway, so I know what it's like to go up. It's like a dream. Like, oh, right. Finally, I have to get stronger. But to cut 25 pounds.
I was in so much pain. So I went from 5 platefuls of food a night, which would mean I would have a plate. It's absurd. It's like, so I would start my day. I would start my day with 6 eggs, and then I would stuff, hard-boiled eggs in my pockets so I could eat on throughout the day. And then I'd come on and I'd have lunch at the Eastern Washington Commons, where they serve food and you could eat as much as you want, come back as many times. So I would hit lunch and I would 5 platefuls of food. Dinner was part of my training program, like 5 platefuls of food before I could leave. For bodybuilding.
Yeah.
So I went from
5
that.
plates for dinner.
Yeah.
Would you have 9 rectums? Like,
I just would eat. I would just eat, and I would walk and hit the can before I would go anywhere else.
I love the hookup. He's got the whole city wired like they got it over there in the Commons, and I know we got free donuts at the Holiday Inn Express down here. Not a sponsor.
Anyway.
So then that must have been the most traumatic cut of all time, because you had to change, not a little, you had to revolutionize your existence.
My direction completely flipped 180 degrees. And so I went from, 3 meals, 5 platefuls of food, pounding the food. Anything I can get in, I got in. Down to 2 meals a day. I had some eggs, whites for breakfast. I had salad for lunch with some tuna and a squeeze of lemon. And that was my last meal of the day. And then I would get on an exercise cycle for an hour. And I was going down so fast that I could just feel my muscles were catabolizing. It just ache. I was just like burning. Atrophy. It's like they're just burning because they're breaking down for energy.
That was your first time you had acted?
Yes.
I never knew that till right now. I thought I met you, the actor, honestly. Like, I just thought you were an actor your whole life. That's it. I didn't know that till right now. So I know how intimidating it is for me when I audition and earn versus when I am offered a part. I feel like a complete imposter if I'm offered something and I have to really win everybody over and make sure they know I'm a nice person. But even when I audition for it and earn it, it's still like, hey guy, super more famous than me. So I got to think not acting at all, and all suddenly you hit like a Christ pose, and you're being shot like this god. That's how. Was it intimidating, or was it the old adage like too dumb to be afraid?
Second, exactly. It was like, to be without even any thoughts or knowledge. So it was just like, okay, the power of ignorance, right?
How old were you then?
Power of ignorance, 26. And so all I said to myself was, I'm making a commitment to this. So when I make a commitment to something, I'm all in, like you. It's like I'm all in. And I'm going to give it 100% no matter what it takes. I'm going to get the best job I can possibly do. I'm going to drop the weight. I'm going to know my lines. I'm going to hit my marks. I'll do whatever they tell me to do. That's what I'm going to do. And so for 10 weeks, I did that.
And did you have imposter syndrome about like never having acted before, or was it?
Oh, I didn't think twice about it. I was like, I'm going to go get paid. I'm going to go do this.
This now, is fascinating.
The other part was that
I get it.
The character that they created was not even seen until a certain distance into the movie. Everybody talked about him. So it was like this huge build. And then when I'm first introduced, it's the scene in the stadium. It's like, that's the craziest thing, right?
Yeah.
Like he comes to check out his competition.
With the Mohawk friend.
And Cooch is with him, and he's like, I don't know, man. This is really kind of crazy. I don't know if you should do this, And, I got to do it. I got to meet him, at least get this crazy thought of, who he is out of my head.
So it's possible he never had seen him before that. In the movie. Maybe Matthew Modine's character never
I'm sure he's heard of him. He's a 2-time state champion, yeah.
In the 80s, there's not a lot of DVDs floating around guys wrestling, so it was a legend. It was Paul Bunyan. He had to humanize him maybe to keep going. Because I think one of Matthew Modine's best sentences as an actor ever is in that scene. He giggles. You go, are you going to make the weight? He goes, I don't know. I hope so. And it makes your character not want to devour it like he's a human being. It's really weird. And you go, I hope so too. It's the kindest you are. And I'm realizing that's the first time we see Shute. I've seen the movie so much that I'm like, so in the arc of your character, that's the first time I've laid eyes on you. And I'm like, so you're like, there's a love there. Like there's a
recognition.
I was just, you recognize namaste.
Yeah. Like I see where you're going. I see the fire. I see what you're trying to do. I want you to do it.
He knows the absurdity.
Yeah.
I hope so.
Yeah. I hope you shall, because I'm going to pound you. That's my thought. I'm going to get you on the mat, and I'm going to take this log, just like I do this log, and I'll throw you
How
out.
heavy was the log? Wasn't a real log.
It was hollowed to some degree. It was more awkward than anything.
But it still weighed like 80 pounds.
Yeah, something like that.
Crazy.
But the craziest part wasn't the weight of the log. It was the coldness of the day. Because the sun was out, but it was so cold in the Pacific Northwest. and you could see everybody's breath, and everybody had parkas and
he's in dolphin shorts.
Yeah, and I'm in shorts and a tank top, trying to pretend like I'm sweating, which was glycerin, by the way. It wasn't sweat.
I never need help sweating on
camera.
No, I'm a pig. When you go to the premiere, did you go to the premiere of Vision Quest?
I did.
And where was that, in L.A.? Or?
I was in Spokane. That I went to.
I'm asking this because I'm getting choked up even referencing it to the side. Jerry Maguire, when I saw my name, or I had single card, but when I first came on this screen, when I saw my name, it was over the planet Earth during the Who's Magic Bus live at Leeds. I just sobbed.
Wow.
At the beauty, the magnitude of it. It was a picture of fucking Earth, Frank.
Mm-hmm.
One of my favorite bands. Adam and a Magic Bus. This is Earth. Tom Cruise is like, I just absolutely, I'm getting choked up now. Like there's no more arguing what is happening now in this life. I'm a fucking actor. There's my name right there. This is not a mom and pop movie. It's Sony. It's $100 million. So when you're watching yourself for the first time on that I'm going to say you did. Maybe I don't know. I don't think you had single billing up front because you were an iron worker.
I had no representation.
Right.
And if you look, you won't even see me as like one of the casts until you see it's not one of the main names. I'm not even on the main names. It's like wait till you see the list of casts, and I'm way at the bottom. Like,
and you're by far the most famous thing from the movie. It's not close. Shoot.
Okay. I can. There are great scenes for different characters. By the way, Matthew did a great job in this movie.
I agree.
His character, his kind of finesse with the funny, and then the serious, and then the anger, and the confusion. I think that was fantastic. And then Linda killed her role. Ron Cox was fan. J.C. Quinn hit the 6 minutes, not the 6 minutes.
Wow.
There was monologues throughout that. Like beginning of the movie with Matthew, J.C. Quinn. The end of the movie with Matthew, there are just beautiful expressions of the moments and times of
there was that. Yeah.
In the beginning, he's jumping rope. I just turned 18. I haven't done anything with my life. This is year I'm going to make my mark. And then at the end, he goes, and then this is about for all those people who live like this is their last day. This is the only day, and this is their last day. And so you got to hand it to those people that go out and live like there's no tomorrow. Like that was his ending thing. So you've got both of those beautifully written for those.
Do you know the one we're talking about with the guy that works in the restaurant with Matthew Modine?
Yeah.
It's like oh wow.
Oh, and he talks about Pele jumping upside
he did
down
a
and backwards.
Upside down.
Backwards.
And I sat here and I cried. That a human being
could lift me up.
A human being.
Yeah.
All I knew about human. So, whatever happened to the other actor? They're going to play Shute.
Oh, he went on to do a lot of B movies. He had a great career. He was a trainer. I don't know where he is now. I've stayed in touch with him and just said hi.
You're a good dude, Frank Jasper.
I like him. Like Frank was a good man. Frank Zagarino.
When you are at that premiere and you see yourself on that screen for the first time, what was? Just tell me.
The scene is just that iconic scene. It's just so insane that it's like I just showed up. I stepped into the role. That was my job. I did the job. When I was done, I went back to school. I had no thoughts. It took him a year, by the way. I did the weight cut 2 more times.
Oh, they had reshoots.
So we shot for 10 weeks. I shot for 10 weeks. Then 3 months later, I get a phone call.
You definitely had no representation with a role the size of Shute. The fact that you worked more than 2 months, somebody did not. They spread you all over that board like, we need an asshole that'll work on Hanukkah when it's raining out with no... Well, we'll call Frank Jasper.
I'm here.
He doesn't have any representation.
Better than bouncing.
Yeah, you could be doing...
Better than bouncing.
I mean, I'm guessing that's like a 4-day role. Shoot, probably. Well, no, the wrestling. How long does it take to film wrestling? It has to be insanely off. I know basketball. How long that takes to shoot something like that? It's how long would it like?
The final scene was like 16 to 18 hours, 3 days, and then 2 8-day that followed. 8-hour days that followed that.
So we'll say 4 days total.
So
5 working days.
5 working days. And then you have 2 regular days, and the rest were all 16 to 18 hours. So you have 3 days, and you're just all beat up. I don't care what you are. It's just from rubbing. Like I had burns on my arms and stuff from the chafing because all the the singlets and stuff were brand new. They weren't washed. They weren't soft and broken in. Man, these things were like stiff and.
Did you have any injuries during the making of the film Vision Quest?
So one of the things I tell people is everything that Matthew, his character, went through in Vision Quest, I actually went through in real life. And one of the things that happened is during the filming, I got elbowed in the nose, and it wouldn't stop bleeding. So it's a little bit like he hits his nose bleeds and for no reason. But yeah. So they had to actually cauterize it on set.
With what?
Chemicals. The guy
put a lighter to a coat
sticks
hanger
a thing
or
and
something.
no, it's just like chemical cauterization.
What are you gonna do? Like honestly, this is what makes wrestlers, I think.
Like
when you say that, everybody goes ooh, but when you say it, I'm like, I don't just fucking do it. Let's get back out there.
Yeah, I know we did.
Like it's gonna hurt. Okay, whatever. Like I'm bleeding. I can't. I'm gonna lose if I can't. Oh no, give it to me. I'll do it. I'll do it. Pain's just a thing, man.
Yeah, just a thing.
So. I guess more specifically, and I need to land here on that question, I didn't have it queued up properly, is were you aware you were watching such an iconic thing? And you were, because I was aware I was watching the guy that fires Tom Cruise, and I knew this is enormous. I was aware.
Yeah, no, that's a great role.
It's like Steven Tyler going like, I just wrote Sweet Emotion. Like, wow. Like, you hear all these stories like, oh, it was a throwaway, like the Rolling Stones, like, Start Me Up was a throwaway, like, no, Sweet Emotion wasn't a throwaway. Like, Sweet Emotion, it's about... It's just weird. So you were not aware of how iconic that was. When did it start to dawn on you that you were a part of American history? As far as, cinematic American history. Hold on, that's my ride. By the way, there's no way that Ladder Company 69 is needing to lead that quickly in this direction because in 2 miles there's Ladder Company 24. You know what I'm talking about?
Right. Right down on Sunset.
Must be lunchtime. Those are good dudes, man. They used to let me go in there and lift with my son when he was a baby.
Oh, nice.
My son didn't lift. I
they're cool.
But I was climbing the walls. I had nothing to do. So I'd be like, you want to go look at a fire truck? He's like, yeah. I'm like, let me get a couple of reps on the bench. Stop fucking around. Like, you want some eggs? Don't push it. I told these guys. So when did you start to realize the magnitude of Brian Shute?
So the film came out. I went to the premiere. That was great. It was fantastic. I kind of missed it because I was partying. So I was in a little bit of partying mode, and I was like, I sort of missed kind of the big part of that. Anyway,
you were the part. I get it.
So anyway, I went back to school.
Been there.
3 months later, I get another call. I'm talking about filming now. It was like we filmed for 10 weeks. I went back to school. Then I got another call 3 months later. Now I'm at 217. They need me back down. We need to do one more scene. So I had a month this time to drop the weight. So I said, fine. So I drop the weight. I fly to L.A. We shoot one scene. That was the bathroom scene. You're a bleeder. That wasn't even in the movie originally. If you can believe that.
My knee-jerk response is like, well, I'm not fucking going back. I don't know what to tell you.
Yeah.
But then when you said it's that scene, I'm like, I got to go
Yeah.
back. I put myself in your shoes each time. That's what I'm saying. Like, this is how I would think.
So then I shoot, and I go back to school. And I'm like, I'm done. I did what I needed to do.
340.
So now I go back to bodybuilding.
They tell me I once had a penis. I'm 340. I haven't seen it since the race shoot. I'm a fucking pig. They call me again.
I
It just keeps going and going and
Drop
going.
it again.
Then I was Jabba the Hutt. They said, we need Jabba the Hutt. So they called you back a second time, though?
So after the filming originally, there was a first, after 3 months again. Now I'm at 225. I'm weighing 225 pounds. And I'd say, listen, they called, we need one more scene.
What scene was that?
That scene was the weigh-in scene. No, wait a second. I'm sorry. That scene was the bathroom scene. I'm sorry. That was the bleeder scene because I was wearing the jacket in that one. The previous one, I came for the weigh-in scene. I came into a weigh-in scene for them.
Let me get the door.
And so...
You could have renal failure with all that cutting.
Yeah, you can have a lot of damage. You just don't, it's dangerous to drop massive amounts of weight with super fast. And there is a way to do it correctly. And this is where I want to go with, what I've learned as a bodybuilder and as a, healthcare practitioner. I'm going to bring that knowledge and really help all the wrestlers that are willing to listen. how to really kind of go about this, that you can actually drop the weight. You can actually maintain your weight and have energy if you do it correctly. And there's a really simple way to do that. And it isn't, I don't want them to yo-yo. And I don't want them to starve themselves. I don't want them to dehydrate. There is a way that you can do that. So that's what I want to leave it with. Anyway, so 225. I got to drop the weight.
Oh, because I was opening the door. I don't want to, not be maskless opening the door. I'm a conscientious pandemic.
My wife
person.
just came by to grab our dog, so Jay went and let her in. So anyway, I said to them, like, okay, I'll go down to 200 pounds. I can't go all the way down to 189. By the way, I weighed 189 for the filming of the movie. So at 4% body fat, which I've never been at again or probably ever will be.
When you were filming the movie, if you could redo high school wrestling, go back, you would have went to state, right? And that
I would only hope that I would go to state, and perform that well. I just wrestled 3 years in high school and then wrestled at a college level for a season.
Well, that's huge. That's what I'm saying. Like, I'm aware. I didn't wrestle a season in college.
Yeah.
But what I was going to say is, when I was 178.5 about a week ago, now I'm probably 180 even, I realized I could easily get to 170 and wrestle. Yeah. That means I would wrestle Luke. I'd
kill him.
I would kick his dick in the dirt I would kick the shit out of him. I realized, he went to state.
Yeah.
That was alarming to me, and
high school is
all that changes between the ears.
Yeah.
It's your brain that changes.
Yeah, I think so.
Marshall Lynch goes, it just clicked in my mind. If you run through somebody's face over and over and over and over and over, the running back, over and over. And I always tell my wrestlers, I'll play him the clip. I go, he didn't learn any plays. He didn't go to the weight room. It clicked in my mind that if you run through somebody's face, he says over 14 times. And the interviewer goes, think there's a deeper metaphor there? And he goes, run through a motherfucker's face. It's like it clicked in his mind.
Yeah.
I really believe that wrestling, once after like your freshman year, it's all mental. Working out is mental. Showing up to practice is mental. Getting up in the morning and going for a jog before breakfast is mental. Meditating is mental. It's all mental. The decision.
Now, I have seen guys that were just jacked, and they got away with stuff in high school that you won't get away with in college. Yeah, I'm just going to muscle this guy. That will happen in high school. You'll shoot from 10 feet away and grab an ankle and get a takedown. You won't get that.
Not my guys.
Yeah, you won't get that in college level, wrestling. There's just a whole nother level. And I think that, like you talk about, there's just this understanding of wisdom that comes with being around it. That I wrestled a kid that was at Eastern Washington who was a state champion. And I had only wrestled at the college level about 2 years ago, and then I was in the wrestling room getting ready for Vision Quest, and so I wrestled with him, and I was like, "This guy's a state champion! Like, oh my god, it's he's just so young." And I think he was 170 pounds. So a lot of times in high school, 170 pound isn't built; they're just kind of fat, they're kind of sloppy.
No, 170. They're usually like 6'1" and real skinny.
Yeah, they're
not chubby 170.
They're just not. They're not developed yet, and he wasn't developed. But it was like he was developed more than the other guys that were around.
Did you work this kid in the room?
It's like there was no. It's like I took him down when I wanted to. I worked him on the ground.
But the dosage size. He's more aware than you of the dosage size in the arena of the wrestling room, like Shark Bait or whatever. I'd be curious to see you guys get out there, and I think you could take. I know you could beat him. I'm just saying, it's like. I got guys that are so great in the room, and then they wrestle like a Herb someplace, and it's like, you're great in the room. I just learned that about you now. Okay, like I just learned that, but that's not who you are, and that's not who that kid was either. But
the mental game is the key. It really is a key.
It's all it is.
It is the key. When you get these kids that will phase out, or they'll blow out of their bodies, and they won't stay grounded, or they'll self-sabotage, or they do all those things that aren't setting themselves up for to win.
Hey, I've never said this before. If you have a kid that's a wrestler and you want some get a vibe of what I'm doing, Coach JJ37@gmail.com. Coach JJ37@gmail.com. I never thought of this before. Corey would be my witness. I'm like, you want me to train your kid? Like, you could be there the whole time. But I know what I'm doing is what we're talking about.
Yeah. You know how to build them up and get them to work with their body and their mind.
It's all mental.
Yeah.
It's just all mental. I mean, the workouts I'm doing with like Peanut and Eric in Malibu is lowering a paddleboard over the railing onto the beach and then bringing it back up. And then I'll stop because the paddleboard weighs a lot. It's a huge one. It's like an aircraft carrier. And I'll hold it. It's in air, and I'm all like, my back's like, I gotta go. And I look over my shoulder like I'm talking to somebody. And Eric and Peanut, they both looked over their shoulder. I go, you know what I'm doing right now, by the way? They go, each separate workouts. They go, no. I go, I'm catching my breath because I'm fucking freaking out. But you know what? Back up. You wouldn't know it. You got to keep that face. You got to just look like you're going to the office, and you will. It will be detrimental to the other guy that's getting up in the third period, going, "Oh."
You just keep showing up, keep showing up.
Keep telling him, fix your
keep
face.
Keep attacking. Don't show you how. Because you can hear, and you'll hear these guys go, "Yeah, I knew when he quit." I'm like, "What?"
It's funny you just said that.
I knew when he quit. I knew when he gave up.
I had to work. Yeah, you can feel it. In Sam Sheridan's book, A Fighter's Heart, when he said it, I went, oh my God. He said it's like he was quoting a jiu-jitsu guy who was in MMA. I don't want to get the name wrong. But you can feel when you break someone's spirit, it's a little bit like a twig snapping, but with energy. And it's in your sternum, the same place it's in his. And deep in your gut, you feel it. That's what you're talking about, right?
Yeah.
But think about it. When you're really exhausted, that crazy... I have to go to the hospital. It's the same place. That burn in your gut when it's not your lungs. You get that metallic taste in your gums. Then it's your lungs. Then you're just heaving. You get a little tingly. But when you're down between your hip bones in your gut, you feel that flame in there, man. That's when you're done.
Now, I also have to, comment on that. It's like you're not going to just go beat people wrestling mentally. You actually have to go and show up and do the work. Because if you're depleted, and you have no wrestling cardio, I don't care how strong your mind is, you're going to get your butt kicked.
And there's no way I didn't. You're doing that for the listener.
Yes, I'm definitely saying you got to put in the work, and
when I
then
say it's all mental to the
then
listeners,
it's mental.
What I mean by it being all mental is you waking up and running before breakfast when it's still dark out is a mental. That's your decision, your choice. You getting rid of your friends, getting rid of any idea of having a girlfriend. This is a very tiny amount of time, but that's all mental. Making sure your grades are A's because you have to get A's because there are no dummies in a wrestling room because we know time management. And if you're not getting A's, you just said screw it and you're lazy and that's not what I'm looking for. And I'm just saying it's mental. Mental to do the reps. Mental to do these in slow motion alone 100 times so that when you're that gassed, your body goes, I got it. I know how to do this.
Yep.
I'm going to tell you something, brother. I love you. I love you. And I've told her I love you. You really made a profound impact on my life. And one time I got on his table, and it was after I cried, I have nowhere to live. And we were talking about Aldo. Mm-hmm. And I was like, he's a great guy. And you went, he sure is. And that was the last thing we said before my acupuncture. And in that acupuncture, my mom came to me like the MasterCard logo, like two circles coming together, but of light. And then just while you were chanting or tuning, howling as the guys...
Toning.
That became as bright as anything. And she said, look who you're surrounded by now. It's what the only thing my mom ever says to me. And she says it to me twice a week. Look who you're surrounded with now. And it was you, one, because you were right here. And you were caring for me. And it was Aldo, who was a dear friend. And it inspired me, man. In boxing, there's a thing when people don't realize it. When a fight gets broken up because a guy is taking a pounding, the referee jumps in front of Mike Tyson or whomever in harm's way, and he waves off the fight. You can picture it right now, right? But what nobody realizes is that referee hugs the other guy, too. He holds him up. He holds him and hugs him. That's how I feel about you. You kind of hugged me when I needed it. I was knocked out, brother. Mm-hmm. So we'll do this again. We'll get more. It was trying to ride two horses in one race, and that's because your healing I don't know what the word. It's a big deal. Yeah. And I'm going to say this: you were reluctant to speak on a podcast about the tuning, howling, and the thing and the deal and the connecting and moving the energies and stuff. And Corey will back me up. I go, no, this is the exact place for that. Mm-hmm. This audience we know there's more. There's always more. Until there's no more, but there's always more.
They want both. They want the stories and they want the healing.
Yeah.
I owed it to you and your business that you do so well that has healed who they're listening to. They all rooted for me,
Yeah. And and also we're never done. That's the other thing people
correct.
don't get is that it's like, oh, can you just fix this? Can you just give me a pill? Can I just do? And it's like you can, and then you still won't heal the issue. But if you look at the issue and you go deeper and you feed the body the right nutrition, you can actually heal from things, and then you will just open to the next level. And as long as we're in physical form, we're dealing with that onion. We're pulling off layers. We're trying to find our next thing. I had the great fortune at the end of my father's life, who died of cancer and went through chemo, went through radiation, and I watched him slowly be burned down to nothing and then go into a coma. And for 3 days, I had sat in a room with him with my hand on his heart, and I could just feel his energy was processing all the stuff he had never processed while he was alive. I could just feel this process going on. And there were people in the room and then upstairs that could feel it too. And it's like, isn't this interesting? Maybe that's why people hang on, because they're still processing. But what would happen if we could actually just get through all the stuff that we can possibly get through, and we have no like attachments that we have to, hold on to resentment or anger or fear or something that keeps us stuck here, stuck in this realm. We're done. We can release it and move on to the next. Because I just think it's just, hey, I'm going out of this room. I'm going to change clothes, go into that room.
Yeah.
That's the way I look at it. I'm really a big believer in
lose the clothes that are no longer working for me.
Yeah. Well, we're also just, it's like change the suit, change the earth suit.
For me, it was like swimming with my clothes on, and felt like, and I had to stop doing it. That was what you said was so beautiful as you were saying it. I said, make sure you don't say anything after this, because that's a perfect way to close the podcast. Frank Jasper, my friend, and let me tell you something. I wrote down some things while you were speaking. Wrestler, iron worker, bouncer, actor, healer, husband, friend. Iconic. That's you, my friend. There's nothing really you can do about all those things. That's a pretty big deal.
And I'm honored to be a part of all of that.
Yeah, we're honored to have you on Mohr Stories Family. Put your name on it now. Now you're going to come back, though. We'll really tighten up the funnel, though, because I just wanted to introduce you to everybody.
All right.
Hey, Mohriers, this is my friend Frank. Thank you, brother. That was great. Awesome job. Shoot.